Nevada is not a subtle state. You've got casinos, desert, and a stretch of highway that the state officially named after extraterrestrials, and unveiled at the ribbon cutting with a ceremonial speed limit warp 7 sign. But beyond all of that, there are places in this state so genuinely strange that even longtime residents do a double take. These are the 12 most unusual places in Nevada that really exist. Place 12. Fly Geyser, the accidental wonder of Black Rock Desert. Out in the middle of the Black Rock Desert, about 25 miles north of the small town of Gerlach, there's something that looks like it belongs on the set of a science fiction film. A mound of multicolored mineral formations, constantly shooting water into the air, covered in shades of red, orange, and vivid green. The kicker? Nobody planned it. In 1964, a geothermal energy company drilled a test well on a private ranch in Washoe County looking for a viable heat source. They found boiling water, 200 degrees, but decided it wasn't hot enough for their purposes. They capped the well and left. Except the cap didn't hold. Scalding, mineral-rich water has been erupting from that improperly sealed hole ever since, depositing calcium carbonate and silica on the desert surface year after year, building up what is now a mound that shoots water up to 5 feet into the air and grows several inches every year. The vivid colors that make the whole thing look almost painted on are from thermophilic algae, organisms that thrive in heat and moisture, coating the mineral surface. It's the kind of color combination you'd expect to see in a nature documentary filmed somewhere remote and tropical, not in the Nevada desert. The Burning Man project purchased the property in 2016 for $6.5 million, and since 2018, they've offered small guided tours of Fly Ranch, the only legal way to visit up close. The geyser is visible from the road, but the details, the scale, the colors, those only land when you're standing in front of it. There's something fitting about the fact that a state known for building extraordinary things by accident, a city that grew out of a railroad stop in the desert, a dam that reshaped a river, also produced a geological landmark built by mistake. Nobody commissioned Fly Geyser. Nobody planned it. A poorly capped well and 60 years of geothermal pressure did the work. The result is one of the more visually striking formations in the country, sitting on private land in the middle of an empty desert, growing slowly and quietly every year, whether anyone is watching or not. Place 11. The Clown Motel, Tonopah's finest overnight option. Tonopah is a small mining town about 3 hours northwest of Las Vegas, population a little over 2,000. It's not a place most people would put on their itinerary, and then they hear about the Clown Motel, and suddenly they're booking a room. The motel opened in 1985. It was the idea of siblings Leroy and Leona David, who wanted to honor their late father, Clarence David, a man who had spent his life collecting clown figurines and who is buried in the cemetery right next door. They displayed his original collection of over 150 pieces in the lobby, and the Clown Motel was born. Today, the collection has grown to over 4,000 pieces. Clown dolls, clown paintings, clown puppets, some of them antique, some of them very large, covering nearly every surface of the office and lobby. The motel has themed rooms, including ones modeled after It, Friday the 13th, and The Exorcist, if you want to really commit to the experience. As for that cemetery next door, the old Tonopah Cemetery opened in May 1901 and was the town's main burial ground for just a decade. In that 10-year span, nearly 300 people were interred there, including 14 miners killed in the 1911 Belmont mine fire and dozens of victims of a 1905 pneumonia outbreak so severe that 56 people died between January and April of that year alone. The cemetery closed in 1911 when the town needed a larger one. It was featured on the television show Ghost Adventures. It's been called America's Scariest Motel by more than a few outlets. Whether that's a recommendation or a warning is entirely up to you. Ghost Adventures investigator Zach Bagans, after filming an episode there, said, "The energy at the Clown Motel is unlike anything I've experienced. It's layered, it's heavy, and it doesn't let go." Place 10. the Extraterrestrial Highway, and the town of Rachel. Nevada State Route 375 is a 98-mile stretch of highway that cuts through the remote desert of Lincoln and Nye counties in south-central Nevada. In April 1996, the state of Nevada officially renamed it the Extraterrestrial Highway, a nod to the dozens of reported UFO sightings along its length and its proximity to Area 51, the classified Air Force installation at Groom Lake. The dedication ceremony in Rachel that year was attended by Nevada Governor Bob Miller and, because this is Nevada, by the stars of the film Independence Day, which 20th Century Fox was releasing that same summer. Jeff Goldblum and Bill Pullman apparently had strong feelings about the occasion. The town of Rachel sits roughly at the midpoint of the highway. Its population at the 2020 census was 48. There are no traffic lights, no post office, and no gas station on the highway itself. The closest fuel to Rachel is in Ash Springs, miles away. What Rachel does have is the Little Ailey Inn, pronounced Alien, which has served as the town's bar, restaurant, motel, gift shop, and unofficial alien research hub since around 1989. The menu includes items like the saucer burger, and the sign out front reads, "Earthlings Welcome." Unpaved roads near Rachel lead to the boundary of Area 51, which the US government didn't officially acknowledge even existed until 2013. The signs at the perimeter are unambiguous about what happens if you cross them. Most visitors are content to read those signs, take a photo, and drive back to the Little Ailey Inn. In September 2019, roughly 2 million people signed up on Facebook to storm Area 51 as part of a viral joke event titled, "Storm Area 51, They Can't Stop All of Us." The Air Force responded that it was ready. About 150 people actually showed up at the perimeter gates on the day. The Little Ailey Inn and surrounding businesses in Rachel reportedly had one of their best weekends on record. Place 9. Rhyolite Ghost Town and the Goldwell Open Air Museum. About 120 miles northwest of Las Vegas, near the edge of Death Valley National Park, sits the ghost town of Rhyolite. And it is one of the more dramatic ghost towns in the American West, which is saying something in a state that has over 600 of them. Rhyolite began in late 1904, following a gold discovery in the surrounding Bullfrog Hills. By 1907, it had electric streetlights, water mains, a hospital, a stock exchange, an opera house, and a population estimated between 8,000 and 12,000. Then the financial panic of 1907 hit, and the mines began to fail. By 1920, the census counted 14 people still living there. The power company turned off the electricity in 1916. Today, what remains includes the roofless skeleton of the Cook Bank building, the shell of the Las Vegas and Tonopah Railroad Depot, and the Tom Kelly Bottle House, constructed in 1906 from approximately 50,000 discarded beer, liquor, and medicine bottles, which still stands, its glass walls faintly turquoise in the desert light. Just before the entrance to the ghost town is the Goldwell Open Air Museum, which adds a genuinely surreal layer to an already surreal place. In 1984, Belgian artist Albert Sukalski visited the area and was so struck by the landscape that he created a life-sized sculptural recreation of the Last Supper, ghostly white human forms in plaster-soaked burlap, arranged in the desert against a backdrop of ruined walls and open sky. He intended it to last 2 years. It's been there for over 40 years. Other sculptures followed, added by Belgian and international artists over the following decades, including a massive pink nude made of cinder blocks and a figure modeled on Icarus with wings outstretched. The museum is free, open to the public, and surrounded by nothing but desert and mountains. Rhyolite has been used as a film location more than once. The Cook Bank ruins appeared in the 1964 film The Reward, and again in 2004 for The Island. Orion Pictures used the ghost town for its 1988 science fiction film, Cherry 2000. It's easy to see the appeal. The ruins are intact enough to be legible as buildings, but decayed enough to read as the aftermath of something, which, of course, is exactly what they are. Place 8. The International Car Forest of the Last Church, Goldfield. Goldfield is a small town on Highway 95 in Esmeralda County. Its current population is roughly 250 people. At its peak in the early 1900s, it was the largest city in Nevada, with 30,000 residents and a gold rush that had turned an empty patch of desert into an actual boom town. Then the gold ran out, and most people left, as tends to happen. What Goldfield is known for now, among other things, is a piece of outsider art so specific in its peculiarity that it has no real equivalent. On the southern edge of town, on 80 acres of private land off Highway 95, more than 40 vehicles, cars, trucks, vans, a bus, have been planted nose first into the desert floor. Some are stacked on top of each other. They rise from the ground at angles, hood down, pointing skyward, like something between a junkyard and Stonehenge. The project began in 2002. It was the vision of Goldfield local Mark Rippey, who wanted to break the Guinness World Record for the most vehicles planted vertically in an art piece. He was joined by Reno-based artist Chad Sorg, who relocated to Goldfield after driving through town and encountering one of Rippey's first planted cars. The two worked for about 9 years expanding the collection, each vehicle covered in paint by artists who visited from around the world. The name, the International Car Forest of the Last Church, was Rippey's, partly as a spoof on the idea of a national forest, and partly in reference to his opposition to organized religion. No signs explain any of this when you arrive. You simply find it, walk through it, and figure it out as you go. Entry is free. The site is open 24 hours, and it remains one of the largest outdoor car art installations in the country. Place 7. 7 Magic Mountains. Art in the Mojave. About 10 miles south of Las Vegas, just off Interstate 15 near Jean Dry Lake, there are 7 towers of neon-bright boulders rising out of the Mojave desert floor. Each stack is between 30 and 35 feet tall. Each boulder, locally sourced limestone, weighs between 10 and 25 tons and has been painted in day-glow colors that seem to glow even in flat desert light. Against the beige and brown of the surrounding landscape, they are genuinely impossible to miss. The installation is the work of Swiss artist Ugo Rondinone, and it opened in May 2016. It was produced by the Nevada Museum of Art and the Art Production Fund of New York at a cost of $3.5 million. The original plan was to keep it up for 2 years. Its popularity made that impossible. As of this writing, it remains periodically repainted on the 3 acres of Bureau of Land Management land it occupies, which is also why admission is free and there are no gates or official hours. Rondinone described the location as physically and symbolically midway between the natural and the artificial, the natural expressed by the mountain ranges, desert, and John Dry Lake backdrop, and the artificial expressed by the highway and the constant flow of traffic between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. The site is within a few miles of Jean Dry Lake, where artists Gene Tingley and Michael Heiser made land artworks in the 1960s, so the area has a longer history with large-scale outdoor art than most people realize. It is free. It is open all the time. The parking area is small, and the walk is short. And it is, by nearly every account, one of the more striking things to stumble across on a drive between 2 cities. Place 6. The Mizpah Hotel, Tonopah's Lady in Red. Back in Tonopah, which, as you may have gathered, is having a moment, sits the Mizpah Hotel. It opened in 1907 at the height of the town's silver boom, and was, at the time, considered one of the finest hotels in Nevada. 5 stories of brick construction with ornate interiors, a casino, and a bar that saw some serious use. Over the following decades, it changed hands, closed, fell into disrepair, and sat empty for over 20 years before a restoration project brought it back in 2011. The hotel has a specific reputation. Room 504 on the 5th floor is associated with what locals call the Lady in Red, a woman named Rose, reportedly a sex worker in the early 1900s who was strangled by a jealous client in that room, and whose presence, according to a long list of guests, has made itself known in various ways over the years. The hotel offers tours, mentions the history plainly, and will book you into room 504 without much commentary. They also leave a rose petal on the pillow as a courtesy, which is either a charming touch or an unsettling one, depending on your perspective. Whether or not you take the ghost stories seriously, the building itself is genuinely worth seeing. A well-preserved piece of early 20th century Nevada architecture in a town that doesn't get nearly enough credit for its history. Jack Dempsey trained in Tonopah before his heavyweight championship fights. Howard Hughes passed through. The bar at the Mizpah has seen things its walls cannot articulate. It reopened in 2011 after more than 20 years of closure and vacancy, restored to something close to its original condition. The fact that it exists at all, in a small desert town on a highway most people drive through without stopping, is its own kind of unusual. Place 5. The Nevada Test Site, the most nuked place on Earth. The Nevada National Security Site, still widely known by its former name, the Nevada Test Site, sits about 65 miles northwest of Las Vegas in Nye County. Between 1951 and 1992, the United States conducted 928 nuclear tests at this site. 100 of those were atmospheric tests, meaning they were detonated above ground. The rest were underground. During the 1950s, the mushroom clouds from atmospheric tests were visible from Las Vegas, and for a period in that decade, the tests were a tourist attraction. Hotels on the Strip advertised atomic cocktails and sold calendars listing scheduled test dates so guests could watch from rooftop viewing platforms. Miss Atomic Bomb was a promotional figure used in local advertising. It was a different era. The craters left by underground tests are still there and still visible. Sedan Crater, created in 1962 by a 104-kiloton thermonuclear device detonated 635 feet below the surface, is 320 feet deep and 1,280 feet wide, large enough to be considered one of the largest human-made craters in the world. The Department of Energy offers occasional free public tours of the site. They are conducted by prior application, scheduled in advance, and genuinely fascinating if you can get a spot. The broader context of the site is worth sitting with for a moment. In the span of about 40 years, the United States set off nearly 1,000 nuclear devices in a single stretch of Nevada desert. The landscape absorbed all of it. Tours now drive visitors through a terrain pocked with the evidence, past signs that calmly explain what happened at each location with the kind of measured language that makes the scale of the thing feel even more extraordinary. Some of the underground depressions are so large they've altered the topography of the ground above them permanently. It is, in the truest sense, unlike any other place you'll visit. Place 4. Lehman Caves, Baker, and the Great Basin. In the far eastern corner of Nevada, tucked inside Great Basin National Park near the small town of Baker, there's a cave system that most Americans have never heard of and wouldn't expect to find in a state best known for desert and casinos. Lehman Caves is a series of limestone caverns discovered in the 1880s by rancher Absalom Lehman, who promptly started charging people to tour them. The cave is known for its density of speleothems, the formations that grow inside caves from dripping water and mineral deposits. Stalactites, stalagmites, columns, flowstone, popcorn clusters, all of it packed into a series of rooms and passages that extend well into the mountain. What makes Lehman Caves unusual, even by cave standards, is the presence of cave shields, rare circular disc formations that grow outward from the cave walls. Scientists estimate that Lehman Caves contains roughly 300 of them, one of the highest concentrations found anywhere in the world. Formation of a single shield is believed to take thousands of years. Tours are ranger-led and year-round, with the cave maintaining a constant temperature of around 50 degrees Fahrenheit, regardless of what's happening outside. Admission is modest and reservations are recommended. The surrounding Great Basin National Park also contains one of the few groves of ancient bristlecone pine trees in Nevada, some of them over 4,000 years old, if you want to add something equally improbable to your day. To be clear about the geography here, Baker, Nevada, sits at the edge of one of the most isolated regions in the continental United States. Route 50, which passes nearby, has been called the loneliest road in America. Great Basin National Park receives a fraction of the visitors that parks like Zion or Yosemite see each year, which means Lehman Caves, one of the more extraordinary cave systems in the country, is frequently experienced in something close to solitude. If you're willing to drive to the far eastern edge of a state, most people only fly over on their way somewhere else. It's one of the more rewarding things you can do. Place 3. Valley of Fire State Park. Stone that looks like Mars. Valley of Fire State Park is Nevada's oldest state park, established in 1935. It sits about 50 miles northeast of Las Vegas in the Mojave Desert, and it covers 46,000 acres of Aztec sandstone formations, red, orange, and pink rock sculpted by wind and water over 150 million years into shapes that have no good earthly analogy. The name is not poetic exaggeration. In certain light, early morning, late afternoon, anytime the sun hits the rock at an angle, the formations glow a deep red-orange that resembles nothing so much as burning. Geologists describe the stone as Jurassic Age sand dunes that compacted and lithified over millions of years. The exposure and erosion of that stone over subsequent millennia produced the fins, arches, beehive formations, and domes that fill the valley today. The park contains over 3,000 petroglyphs left by the ancestral Puebloans and Patayan peoples, some estimated to be more than 3,000 years old. Mouse's Tank, a natural rock basin deep in a canyon that retains water, was named for a Paiute outlaw named Mouse, who used the canyon as a hideout in the 1890s. White Dome's trail leads through a narrow canyon, past a collapsed natural arch, to formations that shift in color from white to cream to deep red across a short walk. It is also, not surprisingly, a popular filming location. Star Trek Generations used the valley as an alien landscape in 1994. Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, The Professionals, and several other productions have done the same. Standing in the valley, it's not hard to understand why. What makes Valley of Fire unusual in the context of this list is that it's simultaneously the easiest place to reach, less than an hour from Las Vegas, and one of the most visually alien environments in the entire state. Most visitors to Las Vegas never go. The ones who do tend to describe the experience as the part of the trip they remember longest, which says something about what the Strip is up against when you put it next to 150 million years of geology. Place 2. The Neon Boneyard, Las Vegas. The Neon Museum in Las Vegas holds one of the more quietly melancholy collections in the American West. Located in a 2-acre outdoor lot in downtown Las Vegas called the Neon Boneyard, it is the final resting place of more than 200 original neon signs from the city's history, rescued from demolition as hotels, casinos, and businesses were torn down or rebranded across the decades. The signs span from the 1930s to the present and include some of the most recognizable faces of Las Vegas's neon golden age: the Stardust, the Binion's Horseshoe, the Hacienda Horse and Rider, which once greeted drivers arriving on the Strip. The Young Electric Sign Company, which manufactured many of them, was founded in Salt Lake City in 1920 and produced neon signs across the American West for decades. At their peak, the signs on Las Vegas Boulevard represented some of the most elaborate and densely packed neon advertising in the world. The museum opened in 2012 and conducts tours of the outdoor collection, which includes both restored signs and unrestored pieces left in various states of age and weathering. The contrast between the two, the freshly lit signs blazing in the dark and the rusted, faded ones half collapsed against each other, gives the place a texture that's more interesting than a straightforward museum. Nighttime tours are offered and are worth the additional planning, as the restored signs are illuminated after dark and the setting becomes something genuinely atmospheric. There's an argument to be made that the neon Boneyard contains more actual Las Vegas history per square foot than anything on the Strip. The signs in the yard were there when the city was building itself into something no one had built before. They lit up the road when Vegas was still figuring out what it was going to be. Now they sit in an outdoor lot in downtown, slowly aging, some of them lovingly restored, some of them left to rust, while a few miles away on the Strip, whatever replaced them blinks on through the night like nothing ever changed. Place 1, Fly Ranch, Hot Springs, the landscape you didn't know existed. Nevada is not short on strange landscapes, but the Fly Ranch property contains something that even frequent visitors to the state rarely know about. A system of natural geothermal hot springs and pools spread across an area that looks, frankly, like it was designed by someone who had seen too many paintings of the Elysian Fields and decided to try it in real life. The same 3,800-acre Fly Ranch property that houses the Fly Geyser, purchased by the Burning Man project in 2016 for $6.5 million, also contains a series of natural hot spring pools that have formed over decades from geothermal water runoff. The water is mineral-rich, the temperature is warm, and the pools are lined and surrounded by formations of calcium carbonate and silica in colors ranging from white to amber to deep rust. Surrounding the pools, because of the constant moisture and warmth, the ground is unusually lush for the Nevada desert. Grasses, reeds, and wetland plants in the middle of the Black Rock Desert. Researcher Carolina Munoz-Saez, who studied Fly Geyser on behalf of the Burning Man project, noted that the geothermal conditions at the site are genuinely unusual. The geyser contains a really high amount of silica, she said. Quartz typically takes up to 10,000 years to develop in geysers. What's happening here is unlike any other geyser I've studied. Guided nature walks of Fly Ranch are available from April through October, covering the wetlands, hot spring pools, and the geyser itself. The tours are small, intentionally limited, and require advance booking. The Burning Man project has been deliberate about keeping visitation low to protect the fragile ecosystem of the site, particularly the thermophilic algae and mineral formations that take decades to grow and can be damaged in minutes by careless human contact. It is, in a state that prides itself on spectacle, one of the quietest and most genuinely surprising places you can visit. Nevada has casinos and highways and desert that goes on longer than seems reasonable. Most people know that part. What most people don't know is what's tucked between all of that. Geysers built by accident, cars planted nose first in the desert, ghost towns with bottle houses, highways that the state legislature officially named after extraterrestrials, caves with 300 rare rock formations no one ever talks about, and a nuclear test site you can actually tour. None of it is made up. All of it is out there, sitting in the desert, available to anyone willing to drive far enough to find it. Nevada is one of those places that rewards the people who get off the interstate and go looking. Most of the places on this list have no grand visitor centers, no packed parking lots, no curated experience designed to make you comfortable. They're just there, strange, specific, and completely real. If you found this video useful, hit the like button. It helps more people find content like this. Subscribe if you want to keep exploring places that make you stop and ask, wait, that's real? We'll see you in the next one.